Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, boxing prospect review video, second one of that we're gonna shoot while I'm sitting on this little sit down right here. I wanted to talk about a show love to a local fighter because a lot of times for me, I get so caught up following what's going on at the with the big promotional companies and the big fights that sometimes we forget to show love to the local fighters, and really that's what really matters, the local fighters, because I'm from South Florida. We have a lot of talented fighters here, and I wanted to show one of South Florida's very own some love here in this prospect review video. So we're going to talk about, you guys may have seen my a couple of interviews of his that I've done on the channel at the Hard Rock shows here in South Florida. But I want to talk about Harold King Calderon. Now, Harold Calderon is a welterweight prospect. Harold Calderon, is 17-0 with 10 KOs, and he trains at a Punch boxing gym here in Miami. That's deep in Miami. That's far from Dania. So, shout out to Punch Boxing. Shout out to Harold Calderon. But yeah, he's 17-0 with 10 KOs. He's coming off of last month. He had the biggest fight of his career at the Hard Rock. It was dubbed the Hometown Throwdown. You guys may have heard me talk about that. But the Hometown Throwdown, it was at the Heavyweight Factory. He fought JD Martinez, another local fighter, undefeated. It was two undefeated South Florida fighters. JD trains at a Fifth Street gym. And then I think in the middle of his training camp, he wound up switching to Luis Ortiz's trainer, which is Herman Caicedo. In the middle, I don't know why, but he switched trainers. And it was a good fight, man. Harold Calderon, I'll say it like this, man. JD Martinez is very, very tough. JD Martinez, I have the utmost respect for him, because both of his fights I had a chance to watch. Dude has shown a true fighter's heart, a true champion's heart. But he needs to really get in the gym and refine his style, because Harold Calderon dominated him. And Harold Calderon, man, I'll say this, I'll classify his style like this, man. He's a very, very, first of all, he's a very dedicated fighter. He's a very disciplined fighter. Second of all, both fights I've had a chance to watch of Harold's, this guy comes to, he has boxing skills, but he really is more of a pressure fighter. From what I've seen, he's more of a pressure fighter. He's someone that likes to throw punches to the body. He makes investments to the body early and often in his fights, and that's why in the two fights that I've had a chance to watch of his in person, both fighters heading into those championship rounds really didn't have anything on their punches, because this guy's making those investments early on to the body. So just that's one thing I love. I'm a sucker for a good body puncher, which is why, as far as guys that I like now that I fight, I've always been a fan of Errol Spence. I'm beginning to like Jaime Munguia a lot, because of him being someone who not just is a good body puncher, because you can be a good body puncher, but to be a good body puncher and to be someone who focuses on body punching, I like that, and that's a good quality to have. Now, it is worth noting with Harold that, and to be honest with you, I don't believe this myself, so I'm gonna have to, when I see him, or if I interview him soon, I'm gonna have to confirm this. But it says here he's 31 years old. He does not look 31. He looks like he's younger than 31, but it says he's 31 years old. He's 5'11". He's a southpaw. So Harold's someone that, and really there's not a lot about him on the internet right now. And to be perfectly honest with you guys, I don't want to be cocky here, but really, if you go type his name in on Google, my videos are the only ones that pop up. He's not really someone that's a known fighter, a known commodity outside the realms of South Florida boxing, which, to be quite honest with you, is very, very small. So I would say, at least on YouTube, at least, I'm kind of the authority on Harold Calderon. And so you guys listen to what I'm saying. The guy can fight. He's someone that I believe, as long as he's moved properly, he'll definitely be someone that will be a contender. He's not quite there yet, because I would say he just had his biggest fight against another fellow prospect from South Florida, which by the way, he said he didn't want to have, but JD Martinez was so insistent on having it, and he fought him, and he beat him and took his O. So it's back to the drama for JD. But no, for Harold, he's someone that I believe is about to make that. He's now, in these next couple fights in his career, he'll be transitioning into that phase of becoming a challenger, a contender. And that's where you really begin to find out about a fighter. Thus far, for Harold, his whole career pretty much, he's just been fighting, with the exception of JD, for his whole career, he's been fighting guys that were stay busy fights. and JD was his first World True test. He passed it with flying colors. So we want to see. I want to see more Harold Calderon. I hope as the heavyweight factory begins to put on more cards, this is the guy. I would say at least. This is the guy that they need to center those cards around. He needs to be the one headlining it. And if not him, maybe someone like Ivan Ditchko. But really him, because he's the Miami guy. He's the guy that with the personality. He's the guy that a lot of people here in South Florida, believe it or not, even though you guys don't know who he is, a lot of people here in South Florida, when you go to the fights, he always has the biggest crowd. When he fought on the undercard back in March, he had the biggest crowd. And then when he was done fighting, literally 30% of the arena just left. So he sells tickets here. He's an exciting fighter. He's someone who loves South Florida. He loves being from South Florida. Whenever you see him, he's always rocking some sort of South Florida sports paraphernalia and apparel. So and he's even friends. A fact. He's even friends with the Miami Dolphins linebacker Kiko Alonso, who was in the locker room when Harold Calderon defeated JD Martinez. Also, apparently, he's friends with James Johnson too, because I saw them interacting on Instagram. James Johnson of the Miami Heat. So he's got a little thing going for himself here in South Florida. And actually, I haven't really had a chance to interview Harold the way I want to interview him, because both times I've been around him, they did the kind of post-fight interviews, and those are always different than going to the gym. So hopefully one of these days I can get over there down to Punch Boxing and talk to Harold. But he's someone that I would say, if you're a boxing fan, you're asking yourself the question, who are some fighters on the come up that I should be on the lookout for? Who are some guys that are talented fighters, or maybe we never heard of, but we should be on the lookout for? I'm gonna tell you right now, Harold Calderon is one of those guys. Harold Calderon is one of those guys. Not just because he's a skilled fighter, because it's not. For those of you who don't watch boxing enough or just don't pay attention, it's not enough just to be a skilled fighter, because we've had plenty of guys who have skills that ultimately don't wind up becoming very much in boxing. Boxing is very much about how you approach it. It's very much about the mental part of the game. And Harold Calderon, he's someone that mentally. He comes from a very, very rough background. He grew up in some very rough parts of Miami. He's someone that, from everything I've heard from him and people who have seen him in the gym, he's someone that is very, very, very dedicated. And some people have even said he's one of the most dedicated fighters they've seen in the gym. And when you have talent and you have that kind of quality inside of you, and you have those qualities, from even a spiritual standpoint, like spiritual in the sense that, when you go in the ring, you have you're a strong-willed person. When you have that going for you, you have a chance to go far in the sport. And I'm not going to sit here and make any declarations that I think Harold Calderon will be a world champion, because I got to be realistic here. He's 31 years old. He's yet to really step up to that world level. So he's kind of in a race against time, but I think he's someone that will be definitely he'll make for some good fights. He'll make for some good TV fights, and depending on how he develops, maybe he becomes a guy that wins a world title. I don't know. I'm not going to say all that, but I think he's someone that boxing fans will hear about very soon if you haven't already. And he's someone that once the boxing world finally gets to see Harold Calderon, he's someone that I know a lot of fans will like. So he's one of them guys here in South Florida that I want to make it my duty to kind of cover a lot more than I have been already. And this is kind of the start of that. So yeah, but Harold Calderon, 17-0, 10 KOs. Out of Punch Boxing here in Miami, Florida. He's a welterweight fighter, welterweight prospect. We look forward to seeing how Harold does in the moving up in the welterweight division. I hope for his sake that he continues to develop, he continues to get better, he stays dedicated to the game, because it's very easy to get off track. But yeah, shout out to Harold Calderon. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Anybody in the Miami area or the South Florida area who may know Harold or I've seen him fight, let me know in the comments down below. Anybody who doesn't know who Harold, just drop your comments down below anyway. And yeah, let me know what you guys think in the comments. Take the time to subscribe, like the video. And like I said, every single video, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Daniel. So until next time, take care, guys.